Hello.
Hello, everyone.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. We just wanted to welcome you, the viewer, to the inaugural first episode of the Sacred Knowledge Living podcast.
Yes, we are so excited about this.
We're so excited to have you here today with us. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
So, a podcast. What made us do this? Why is there a Sacred Knowledge Living podcast? And better yet, why is there a Sacred Knowledge Living? Many of you might be familiar, of course, with Rhea's main channel, Sacred Knowledge Tarot, which has been going now, it's
3 years now?
Yeah.
I think it's been 3 years already.
And
wow.
Thanks to people like you,
yes,
it has exploded beyond our wildest imagination.
So we're so grateful for each and every one of you. It's because of you that this has happened. So...
And because of that, it's kind of grown into something where we're like, I think we understand what we're doing with Sacred Knowledge Tarot, but we have so many more interests, so many more ideas, and so many more creative outlets that we want to share with everyone out there. And the beautiful thing is Sacred Knowledge Living kind of creates this realm where we can create these alternative things that are still within the
spiritual wellness.
Yeah, the spiritual wellness, self-help, motivation, and just discussing deeper ideas and getting a little deeper. And the main difference is we're not using the tarot cards. Instead, we're actually going from our hearts and minds and souls. And we wanted to also share content that's from the whole family. We have a very talented family of artists, including Rhea and myself, and also my brother Tom and his wife, Katomi. So we decided that launching a new channel, Sacred Knowledge Living, would be the best idea for how to move forward and
express ourselves more creatively.
Mm-hmm. And so this is kind of a result of that expansion. And I know Rhea talks a lot about expansion that are happening all over the world, expansive energy that's coming into your life. Mm-hmm. And part of the results of that expansion is a growth in your creative output. And that's one of the areas we want to talk about. So let's start from the beginning. A lot of people are not familiar with the story of how did you start Sacred Knowledge Tarot?
Oh my gosh. I think the idea originally came to me it wasn't even Sacred Knowledge Tarot that came to me. It was more of the idea of working from home after COVID happened.
Yep.
Right? So, of course, I was working in dental offices for over 25 years, and I've always wanted to have a home business. And then when COVID happened, everything changed.
Everything changed.
I had a mortgage, which was going through, and then, of course, didn't have work. And that brought up the idea from actually working from home. And then that was the opening journey to finding Sacred Knowledge Tarot. And it just kind of unraveled over that next little while and came to fruition as tarot, Sacred Knowledge Tarot. And it was a lot of work. It wasn't easy for me to find that. I had to do my research. I had to explore, be curious, and figure it out for myself. And then all of a sudden, it showed up one day. And here we are.
Yeah, it's actually been quite a path.
Journey,
like, in terms of, like, if you'd asked 5 years ago when we got married, like, is this what you're expecting our lives to be like? Because we got married a month before COVID happened.
That's right. There's a huge journey that I didn't even touch on.
So it's like, if you don't mind me going into a little more detail.
Yeah, no, go for it. Yeah.
So, we met, it's coming up on 6 years ago, and got married a year later. COVID hits a month after that, and we're like, okay, what are we going to do? And both of our work had done some temporary, like, no more work for you guys.
Yeah.
And so, again, got mortgage, we got all these bills, we got all these things we got to deal with, and we got to figure something out, right? And I was inspired when we watched this BBC Maestro course.
Alan Moore.
That's right.
Yeah.
And part of what he talked about is it's all a focus on storytelling and writing. But one of the things he mentioned was talking about tarot cards and the symbolism within, and how that gives you access to these
Ways of storytelling.
other ways of storytelling, but
Yeah.
other realms of thought, where you're taking feeling and you're trying to interpret it into something that's relevant and universal, and it becomes like this sense of guidance.
That's right.
And it's this beautiful art form that I wasn't very familiar with, except sort of on the periphery.
That's right.
And you were like, I've kind of dabbled in tarot from time to time, but you were never like,
Never like fully into that because, yeah, I was afraid of it.
right. And as
Yeah.
I had been taught to be afraid of it by my household. And so after we watched that, you were like, you know what? I feel like there's something here. And you started, I remember you just dove in with
Yeah, there's
both feet.
this inspiration after watching Alan Moore's course where all of a sudden I had this intuitive download, and all of a sudden I started, I don't know how to describe it other than just I felt this resonance with what he was saying, and then the tarot cards, and I was like, oh my gosh, you know what? I'm going to try doing tarot and see how that works. And I immediately had a connection with the cards.
It was beautiful. It
wild.
seemed like instant. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, you're a natural.
Yeah.
And you started doing readings for people,
Yes, I started
And-
doing readings.
like honing your craft, and people would constantly be like, wow, like your readings were so insightful. And even as a quote unquote beginner, you just like, people resonated with what you had
Yeah.
to say. They felt your guidance was worthwhile, and you felt like kind of called to do it as well. It seemed
That's
like
right. I had originally actually started doing my tarot as a physical practice, not online. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do tarot readings. I'm going to take that tarot to different crystal shops. So I was out there hustling and getting crystal shops to hire me to work with them in their stores.
That's right.
And I had a billboard, all this kind of stuff. And I thought I'd do that. But then I didn't like the travel. It wasn't right. So then I thought, maybe I'll do it on YouTube because I originally wanted to work from home. And that wasn't me working from home. It was me driving around doing all of this, and that's not what I wanted. So it worked at home in the comfort of our own home.
Which is like, we had all these dreams, and
Sorry.
no, that's okay. But we did have all these dreams, and then COVID hit, and we're like, okay, feel like we're kind of swimming uphill.
Yeah.
And so, okay, what do we do? And the thing with tarot is it's not like a rich man's game, right?
No.
It's you got to hustle, and you got to really connect with people, and if you're not good at it and you're not authentic, then people aren't going to want to come back to you.
Yeah.
And so it was around your birthday that I was like, you know, it'd be really cool if you're going to do a YouTube channel is like, let's teach you how to edit some stuff.
That's
And so
right. I didn't know how to edit when I first started.
which is like blows my mind because you are like a world-class editor now. And
Well, because you taught me.
I taught you the basics, and then you, like with anything else,
Ran
became
with
obsessive
it.
in your research and just went full bore. And for the first 1.5 to 2 years of Sacred Knowledge Tarot, you were editing every
Everything
single
myself,
video. So like the style, the layout, all of those things were all a result of her taste and her vision.
Yeah.
And then again, thanks to people like you, like it took off enough where you invited me, and I was working full time doing
Yeah.
computer network engineering. You invited me to work with you full time,
Yeah.
and made it a seamless kind of transfer of editing, because now we speak the same language,
That's
which is
right.
beautiful. And since that happened, I want to say last year, but it's 2025 now.
Yeah,
in
it was,
2023,
So how long has it been? Like
it's been almost a year and a half.
Yeah, a year and a half.
things have grown even
A
more.
lot. It's because we've taken on two beautiful energies that are now in union with each other and expanding, right?
Absolutely. And you've been able to expand your offerings beyond just the weekly tarot readings, right? The two or the same
Yeah,
signs.
so we do two. I do two readings per sign a week, and then I do a collective reading twice a week.
So that's 26 readings every
Yes.
week, over 100 per month. It's a high out, like it's, and so when I say a hustle, I just mean like a high output of energy in order to produce something tangible and worthwhile.
But we have a schedule and we have a rhythm.
Yes, we have a
So,
workflow.
Yeah, we have a workflow which works, and it doesn't feel like work
It's
because we've implemented all of these practices
Yeah.
and everything that keeps us in this high, beautiful energy to actually bring you all of this. And now we're able to incorporate all of this new creativity, this new channel in with Tom and Katomi.
Yes. And so that's what we realized when we started working together more directly with Sacred Knowledge Tarot, is we realized how quickly we could learn to speak the same language,
Yeah.
how quickly we could mutually teach each other these skills, and then improve our workflow. And what happened was it went from being like 12-hour days, 6 days a week, to like
Yeah.
something a little more manageable, to then suddenly having it where we had some extra time to develop something new. And part of what we wanted to do is neither of us had ever traveled
That's
to
right.
worthwhile with our partner. And so we decided, because our honeymoon was a little bit delayed because of
That's
COVID,
right.
we decided finally last year to go to Mexico and go to Hawaii. And if you're a follower of the Sacred Knowledge Tarot channel, then you might have seen some of that.
The behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes
that's on the Instagram.
on
account,
Rhea's
on my
Instagram.
Yeah, so you'll see all of that there.
So, but we realized, and we were working even during those vacations,
Yeah.
right? Recording and doing everything, administering the channel. We realized that we do have so much more to tell, so many more stories, so many more ideas to share, so much more of our own talent and art and skill set to share, that if we kept improving our workflow together, that we could create the time to produce this extra work.
That's right.
And it's been hard because, time is being the most valuable currency. When we started the channel, and the vast majority of how we were sustaining ourselves was you doing private readings.
That's right.
And eventually that got to be in such high demand that it was, would you say it was affecting the ability to do the normal 26 readings?
It definitely was affecting my regular schedule on
Yeah.
YouTube, and then it was affecting me energetically because it takes a lot of energy to do personal readings. So it was hard to do that. It was overwhelming. I felt like it
remember.
was a lot of work. And so
Absolutely.
then
But a lot more, almost like biting off more than you can chew, because
that's right.
the one, I mean, beautiful thing about personal readings is you get that one-to-one
One-on-one,
connection.
yeah, connection.
You get a really in-depth, personalized, private reflection of what's going on in your reality. But the one thing that people don't realize, that for the reader, often they're taking on the energy of the client, because you have to put yourself in their shoes and kind of put your client on energetically, almost like a jacket. And some clients' energy is like so heavy that it follows you after the reading.
It really does. And, before I do the private readings, I usually do my meditation, tap in and tune into the energy of the querent. And yeah, some energies are really, really heavy that I pick up on, and I'm really sensitive, right? So,
And then the decompression process after
and
that.
you've experienced all of that on the back end,
But
right? So
so eventually had to make the difficult decision to
close out my personal readings. Yeah.
stop doing private readings and focus 120%
On the channel.
and the general readings. And like, I feel like the quality continues to improve.
That's right. And instead of doing the personal readings now, I do the collective readings for everyone twice a week, which is so much better for me energetically to do that. And then it allows us to expand now to create a secondary channel and to do these other creative adventures that we've been talking about, that constantly are exploding in our minds, because we have so many ideas, and you and I, and then our family, we're all creative. Everyone I feel in the world is creative. We all have these abilities.
Yeah. It's a matter of whether you're tapped in, whether you're accessing those abilities or not. And that's the hardest part. A lot of people find is the weight of the world, the weight of your obligations, the constant bombardment from third-party advertising and things telling you that you're less than and that you're not worthy unless you buy this product or do this thing.
Can't listen to that stuff.
But what that does is it dampens your ability to see within yourself all the power and vision and dreams that you have, and then be able to access those things inside you. Because if you don't believe that you have those qualities, you're not even going to look to access them.
And see, the one thing I wanted to mention is that's what we did. Ever since I was young, probably a teenager, I've always wanted to have a business from home.
Mm-hmm.
And that creativity has always been there, but I just needed to find a channel and the right opportunity, the right thing to do. And you've also done the exact same thing. And that I feel we all have creativity, that there's something we all want to do.
If you think back to your teenage years, that's usually where you develop some kind of hobby or some kind of base skill, whether it's music or writing or, everyone starts some kind of skill. A lot of people just get hooked on video games or sports or whatever. But then we become an adult and suddenly you have all the obligations of life. And sometimes that skill or that hobby
takes a back seat.
Yeah. And we're in a position now in our lives where we're like I know as a teenager, I wanted to make movies and tell stories. And I worked with my brothers and I would get my friends and we would film all these silly things and I would edit with 2 VCRs.
I've seen some of the videos. They're awesome. They're funny. They're awesome.
Thank you. But you develop the passion that way, and what can happen is then the challenges of life can almost dampen that spark or throw a wet blanket on the fire of passion that you have going. And so you have to kind of get rid of the blanket, the security blanket, and go, I'm going to nurture this fire. I'm going to take some risks. I'm going to get back into this. And now I feel like there's been this beautiful marriage between everything you've accomplished with Sacred Knowledge Tarot and what skill set I have with like video and storytelling.
That's right.
And now always wanting to work with my brother and my sister-in-law, and now working with my wife. And we have this opportunity to produce all kinds of really cool content that I'm hoping will blow a few minds and impress people and really give them a lot of value. So that's Sacred Knowledge Living. That's
right. And before we continue, I feel that we need to talk about the elephant in the room, which is
what do you mean?
This black eye that Paul has here, the shiner. I told you to listen, but you don't. No, I'm kidding. I didn't do this to him.
Yes, unfortunately. So you might have noticed my wife does not abuse me at all. She's the most wonderful, beautiful
I'm
person.
so not like that.
So, I practice the art of jiu-jitsu with my son, and we were in class yesterday, and we were having a rolling session, and I went to take his back, and he dropped to the ground, and I dropped with him, and my face, this part of my eye, ended up smacking on the back of his head. He's fine. Me, a little damaged, 1% less handsome, and
no, it actually makes you look 1% more handsome. But Austin came home last night and he says, "I'm so sorry for what I did to your husband." I was like, "What happened?" And then I had to go find you, and of course there you are with that.
I was like, "Oh."
He actually didn't have the bruise here, but you had the scratch part. But then we woke up and now.
We're on the borderline whether I should get stitches or not, because
I don't think you need stitches.
Stitches, it's like, I think it's going to stay together, but it might be a little of a bad guy scar.
Stitches are for snitches.
That is the saying. So, yes, that is the elephant in the room. Thank you for addressing it. Nobody has been abused.
I'm sure everyone's probably wondering what happened to Paul's eye.
I'm hoping people didn't just watch the first 3 minutes and be like, what's going on? Why aren't they addressing his black eye?
What did Rhea do to him? Was it Rhea? No, it wasn't me.
No, thankfully. It's my son, so it's actually just elder abuse from my son. But no, everything is well, and I'm going to keep going to my practice. It's injuries do happen from time to time, and you got to deal, so... that's just one of the many arts that we
That's right.
practice, right? There's so many different things that we do outside of Sacred Knowledge Tarot, and podcasting actually is something that I've been passionate about for quite a while.
And you've done before.
I've been doing podcasts since 2010. Yeah.
Sorry, and this is my first one. So,
Well, it's nice to bring you on board to the
you.
joy that podcasting is. It's at the end of the day, it's really organic and authentic conversations, right?
That's right.
None of it, just like Sacred Knowledge Tarot is not scripted. None of this is scripted.
yeah,
We might spend a minute or two saying like, "Hey, what should we talk about?" But we just want to have an organic conversation that's real, because I don't think anybody wants to watch some kind of like scripted agenda
thing, yeah.
video. I think if we make mistakes, we make mistakes, but we want to keep this real and show our real dynamic.
That's
and
right.
share our real ideas. And if you resonate with it, great. If you don't, no obligation, no worries at all. We're just happy that you're here.
That's right. And you and I have some really great conversations off camera, like every day, and we're like, why are we not recording this?
Yeah.
Because the conversations we have are so deep,
So profound.
yeah, and it's like we need to do this online.
If I realize it's like we reach such levels of understanding with each other,
That's
and I'm
right.
like, if we could share this level of understanding with other people, it would be like very nourishing, very enriching, and I think very engaging. But
That's right.
you'll have to be the judge of that. So if you think this has been engaging so far, feel free
Let
to
us know.
let us know, leave a comment, maybe like the video, maybe share it, but most of all, feel free to subscribe.
That's right. And we're gonna have more conversations coming up. This is our first one.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into a lot of different conversations, a lot of behind the scenes with us, what goes into making our channel. Paul's got a course he's putting together
Yep.
on how to actually create a YouTube channel.
And how to do video work as well.
Exactly. And I'm putting together a course on how to read tarot. And we're going to do a lot of manifestation rituals. We got a lot of things coming here, everyone. So it's super exciting.
Yeah, we've got educational stuff, we've
Yeah.
got behind the scenes stuff, we have conversational stuff, and some of you out there might have had a taste of what we do outside of the tarot realm, and that is our ebook offerings.
That's right.
And so I thought that would be something that'd be interesting to talk about, because a lot of people enjoy your tarot work
That's right.
and they get a lot of guidance and advice, but you also get a lot of really positive comments and compliments from people who appreciate the guidance and advice that you offer inside the tarot reading, just from your life, just from your experience.
That's right. Yeah.
And just from like the wisdom that you've accrued through the years that we've been on this planet. Mm-hmm. So I still remember, and I'm not sure if people might be interested in the story of how these ebooks came to be.
That's right. Oh, yeah.
But we started with the idea of the 14-day challenge, and you basically wrote that whole thing, and then I was sort of like a polisher,
Yeah, you went in and made it better.
I went in and
Not the
helped.
best writer.
You're a very good orator and you're a very good communicator of ideas.
Yeah, I'm getting better at my writing because I'm working on my writing.
I'm just like a grammar nerd, and I'm like, I'm going to try and spruce this up or whatever. It didn't need any sprucing. It's more like I'm going to use some $2 words here and there to inject a bit more
$2 words.
dynamicism.
I don't think there's anything called $2 words.
$10 words then.
Sure, $10 words, yeah.
Like impetuous. That's a $10 word.
There you go. I don't even know what that means.
Someone in the
Impetuous.
comments, let us know what you think impetuous means. I think I know what it
Sophisticated
means.
words, yeah.
Yes, sophisticated words. Exactly. Those are the $10 words. But the 14-day challenge really came out of the idea that you were creating these daily exercises for yourself.
Yeah, and they're daily exercises I use in my own life, you use in your life.
Yeah.
So it was easy to share that with everyone, but through an ebook and putting that all together and the way that we wanted to put it together. It took a little time to do that, but
Well, we had dozens of little practices and rituals and routines, and for the first, we didn't want to overwhelm people with the first ebook. So
That's right.
we probably had 2 months of conversation before she sat down to actually start writing, and you were pretty quick. You had the whole thing done in less than like a month and a half, the first one.
Yeah.
I feel like it.
The
like,
first one, yeah.
Like you were pretty quick because you were just you were taking what you're already doing in your own life
And putting it.
and cataloging it and then
Yeah.
trying to explain it,
Put it
because
in words.
there's a difference between doing the thing and explaining the thing and like the intention behind why, like your shower and ritual.
Yeah.
Right.
And my morning ritual.
Exactly.
And everything we do in between.
And like, so whether it's practicing gratitude, that's a huge thing for us.
Yeah.
Or, you know, doing affirmations to reduce negative self-talk and like build your own confidence through literally programming your own
Yeah,
mind.
these are all mindful practices which actually do create a major difference in your life. It aligns you back to yourself. And it's so important to actually incorporate these kind of practices in your life in order to grow.
Absolutely. Well, and you were able to take the idea, all these numerous dozens and dozens of types of activities and methodologies, and you said, you know what, I think 2 weeks is a good amount of time to challenge people with
Without the pressure.
reforming new habits without huge pressure of like
That's
biting
right.
off more than you can chew. And so once you nail it down to, okay, I'm going to do a 2-week, 14-day challenge, then I remember you had your board of all your different ideas, methods, rituals.
That's right.
Like, and having to boil it down to the ones that you thought were like the most useful but the most accessible.
Most accessible and nothing too hard, because when you're first starting out, you don't want to be
Dissuaded,
pressured
yeah.
or dissuaded. Yeah.
It's easy to get not over, it's easy to get overwhelmed, don't get me wrong.
Or just to even implement something new in your life and doing too much, because we're used to implementing. I've been doing these kinds of things since I was young.
Yeah, me too.
Right? You too. So it was easy for us to incorporate it, but someone who doesn't practice mindful practices,
Yeah.
right? That can be really hard to implement something new that you're not used to doing.
And the idea of mindset sometimes is hard for people to wrap their mindset around. So, like, even from the beginning, building out, building out the idea of why you're engaging in a mindset shift and why the challenge is necessary, because, as they say, there's no growth in the comfort zone.
No.
But there's also no comfort in the growth zone.
That's right.
So if you're not challenged, you're not going to give it that effort that's necessary to, first of all, do the reflection, self-reflection, to be like, do I need a mindset shift? Mm-hmm. Right? I think people do that on their own. And then once they realize they would like to shift their mindset to something a little more constructive or abundant or motivated, then you lay out these challenges that you can do day by day that kind of accumulate over time. And suddenly 2 weeks later, you're like, oh, I have like 4 new habits I just picked up, and I'm feeling better about things. I'm feeling better about my choices and my options, and I feel like I can see more opportunities.
Yeah, and I'm sure some of you have mindful practices or spiritual practice that you have implemented and do every day or do once in a while, where you do feel more uplifted and connected, right? Mm-hmm. And when you stop doing them, because I've got people in my life who stop doing their practices, mm-hmm. and they end up finding themselves sometimes lost or not really in connection with what they desire to experience in their life. So then they remember, oh yeah, I remember I was doing manifestations, I was doing meditation, I was doing affirmations, and I was doing really well in my life. And then all of a sudden you come off that.
It's like falling off the wagon.
Right?
And you're like, oh, I don't even remember how it happened, but it's like you have a bad day, and then suddenly you're like, I'll do the thing tomorrow, and then the next day another new excuse comes up, and then you're like, you know what, I'll do it next week or this weekend. Yeah. And then 2 weeks have gone by without challenging yourself in that way, and suddenly you've fallen back to old,
a different rhythm and flow.
Yeah, or falling back to old habits.
That's right. And yeah, it's such a powerful, it's like exercising. If you exercise your body, you will see results. But the minute you stop exercising, your body goes back to...
Yeah, within a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and that's the same thing with mindful practices. Yeah. Right? Keeping your mind
Absolutely.
In tune with the energy of abundance, of whatever it is that you want to experience.
It's kind of like, some people are like, health is like a goal, like a finish line. Like once you cross that finish line, like you're good and the race is over. And it's like, that's kind of not how it is. It's more of a marathon, and we don't cross the finish line until the end of our life.
It's a journey.
Instead, we got to enjoy the journey and practice good habits on the journey. And getting there is a matter of like making mistakes, learning from the mistakes, talking with other people and learning what their best practices are, and then putting the effort in to go like, okay, I think I can make these changes. And also recognizing it is a process.
It is a
It is a
process,
journey.
yes.
So not beating yourself up when you make the mistakes or when things aren't going at the pace that you want. It's like, it's okay. At least you're trying. At least you're putting in effort.
Yeah, and you're learning through those mistakes, through those parts of your life that don't work out, right? And we're not supposed to know how we're supposed to get to the destination. We're supposed to have a plan.
Yeah, it helps.
Right? And to know where we're going, but to take the steps one by one day at a time, and everything just, that's what we did. That's what I've been doing my whole life.
It's like we're all going to the same destination, and we all have our own destinations, of course, but the main choice that you have is what path do you want to take.
And there are so many paths you can take.
Like the most painful path, the most painless path, fulfilling paths, unfulfilling paths. It's like, and different parts of the path are going to have these different qualities. So, but you're always going step by step. And so speaking of steps, we decided after, a year and a half, 2 years of the 14-day challenge,
That we would create a 60-day soul commitment challenge.
So with the 60-day challenge, we felt like we wanted to go a little deeper, a little more in depth, deeper. And
Into the 14-day and extend it a little bit more.
Absolutely.
Right?
And because you had so many ideas and these different rituals and methodologies and activities that were helpful to you, it was like, why not put more of those into this sequel book and really share the depth and breadth of all these different things. And this time you let me come on board to help
That's
you write
right.
the book. And so instead of it taking only 2 months, it took 6 times as long.
That's right. It took us a little longer because we have a lot of work. We have a lot that we're doing behind the scenes.
Yes.
And we started our 60-day soul commitment challenge last January.
Yes. A year ago.
Yeah.
2024, and had it all mapped and started writing.
It was a little bit by a little bit.
And it was just little by little, and because we didn't want to just repeat the 14-day challenge and be like, it's like that but a little more, we wanted it to be like
more in depth,
way more in depth, from the ground up, from the beginning, all the way through, and offer a little bit more as well. So it wasn't just challenges, but it was like there's affirmations, there's like a deeper dive explaining like what's the purpose of each of these activities and each of these rituals.
Yeah.
And then making the challenges a little more tangible so that at the end of the 60 days you can look back at all the results, not only the new habits, but like the journaling and a lot of the social exercises like gratitude circles.
That's right.
And so we only released the 60-day challenge, the soul commitment challenge, in November, at the end of November.
It was, a month and a half ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About 2 months ago, roughly.
Almost 2 months ago, yeah.
And again, tons of people have been kind enough to engage with it. And again, like, I don't know if we would end up doing a 6-month challenge or whatever, because we really dove deep to tap into every different methodology that we could think of.
That's right.
And expand on it. But this time it's a little more organized.
It is, yes.
Week by week. So it's meant to be like a natural flow of unfolding and awareness, starting off with, know thyself. Who are you? Who are you really? Right? You're not your job. You're not the property you own. Right?
That's right.
You're not necessarily your relationship. So who are you? And knowing yourself, truly knowing yourself, authentically, genuinely, is a really important step. It's almost like you can't do the other things until you do that.
Until you know thyself, you can't. I don't think you can really create your reality. You can't really, when you know yourself and you're authentic in your own essence, and you're able to express that in the world and share that energy, that's when I feel manifestations and everything starts to flow in, and you tune into the energy of abundance, right? So
yes.
That was the whole point of bringing you back to yourself through this 60-day soul commitment. Mm-hmm. Right?
So once you've got that, you've established that sense of self where your authenticity can be rooted in, then it makes sense to develop a spiritual practice, because now you know who you are and you want to try and connect with some sense of divinity, whether it's from a religious standpoint or a spiritual standpoint or an esoteric or agnostic. There's so many ways to approach the idea of spirituality, because some of us are more religiously inclined and some of us just aren't, right? But we all tap into something that's beyond ourselves, some kind of higher self or some outside aspect, whether you believe in the ego and the id and all that stuff, or the source energy, or the God of many religions. We tend to be not rolling it all into one, because it's not all the same, but I think the usefulness for people is meant to be universal, right? The moral center, the lessons and parables and the stories, and the greater sense of peace and calm that you get from having a connection to that.
Yeah.
Right? Helps manage your emotions. And so in week 2 of the 60-day soul commitment challenge, we're like, hey, if you know yourself, then that's a good time then to, in your second week, to develop some kind of spiritual practice. And again, do it in a way that's accessible to everyone, no matter where you're coming from, religious or not. It's almost like practical spirituality, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's the way you want it to be, because we live practical lives.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I feel if you make it too complicated, I feel in my own personal life, I need things to be a little bit more simple.
Yes.
Rather than complicated. And if we can explain it and bring it in that sense, that's nice.
I think it's a beautiful thing.
Right?
And so understanding your spirit, understanding that when you know yourself, that you are a soul, first of all,
that's right.
To even have something to commit to something, then that spiritual practice helps you get in touch with what that soul is connected to. So week 1 is you're figuring out your soul. Week 2 is like, what is that my soul connected to? And then week 3 is like, what is my soul powering? It's my body.
That's right.
My meat suit. So we get into the ideas of physical health, but also physical habits, right? Around eating and sleeping and all these things that are about your body. Because I find that's one of the most important things. If my body's not feeling well,
good,
it's hard for me to concentrate, to focus, to not be emotionally irritable.
And we all go through things, right? Different times of our lives.
100%.
Like even right now, for example, I've got tummy pains.
You have tummy pains right now?
Yes, I do. I've been going through something because we went to Mexico and
That's right.
My stomach hasn't been the best, but I have to put that aside because we've got a plan now. I'm going to go see a naturopath. But we go through things, right? And our physical body is really important that we listen to, because it's communicating to us. This is what communicates to us. That's where all the signs come from, is our body.
And because we're not given a manual that says this signal equals do this thing, just like we're not given a parenting manual or a physical body manual, it's kind of a process of discovery, self-discovery. So, understanding that your physical health is at the root of the other aspects of your health, i.e. mental and emotional. A lot of people, and they're interlinked, because people who are having emotional difficulty or mental difficulty might not realize or be capable of effectively taking care of their physical self.
That's right.
Right? So they can feed into each other in both the negative but also a positive way, because if your physical health is like really well, then you actually have the bandwidth.
You have the energy
to approach the next week that we do in the 60-day soul commitment challenge.
Yeah, so what we're going to be doing with the 60-day soul commitment and the 14-day mindset challenge is actually create videos where we go week by week.
And like actually in depth
with each one, so that
breaking
way
it down.
If you do have the ebooks, you can follow along with our weekly videos on that.
Yes.
Right? So
it's going to be cool.
It's going to be really fun, and
kind of like a little companion videos to break it down even further. So this conversation is just like a little taste
of that. And I feel that we have so much coming up right now,
Yeah.
so much. So what Paul and I do is every morning we get together. It's like our morning meeting, meditation meeting, right? Where we have creative ideas. We're able to sit down and connect with each other and share these ideas. We have like whiteboards in our bathroom.
We have whiteboards all over the house
everywhere.
with all our ideas.
Constantly writing ideas down. So we have so many visions, so many dreams, so many different things that we want to create. And you're going to see a lot of that here on this channel. This is why we created it.
Yes.
And we can't wait to introduce you to Paul's brother, Tom. And also you may have already seen Katomi in on this channel with her behind the scenes with her candles. Right? So this is a really exciting adventure.
It's a dream come true, at least for this cat.
Oh,
because
for me too, yeah, for us together.
I've always wanted to have a loving working relationship with my partner, and I've always wanted to do creative projects with my family, and now I'm getting to live both of those dreams simultaneously. And so I'm super grateful to be here. I'm super appreciative to everyone who keeps showing up, especially for this fine lady here. And
thank you, everyone. You are so wonderful. We wouldn't be here without you. This wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for you.
It's true. And I could really talk on and on about the 60-day soul commitment challenge, but I'll let interested parties check it out, and you can look forward to the videos where we actually get in depth around it. But I wanted to do that little breakdown about the 9 weeks that you do. So it's an ordered process. I think you'll really enjoy it. And so for our first podcast, I feel like more than half an hour's flown by.
Yeah.
Just a normal conversation. And the only difference is we have a few little cameras in front of us and a few bright lights.
Yeah. And the studio's definitely going to change.
Yeah.
This is just temporary. I'm going to make sure that we make it look, aesthetically nice.
The first episode is unfortunately always the worst. But if you've made it this far, then congratulations to you. This is as bad as it'll ever get. It can only get better. Across the board, layout wise, conversationally, like I believe it or not, sometimes either of us might have nerves. I know. And so the more we do this, the more you like anything you practice, the more you do it, the less nerves you have, the more regular it feels. So I just want to say thank you for the patience. It took me a little bit of time to set everything up here today. Rhea was very patient, even with her stomach issues right now that are bugging her.
So I'm gonna get that sorted out. I'm not letting it get in the way because that's not who I am. So even though I'm feeling pain, I'm dealing with it. Like I'm taking care of myself, but I'm not letting it get in the way of what we're trying to create.
I love, despite the fact that you never use how you're feeling as an excuse to not do the things that you've committed yourself to doing. And that's a lot more difficult than people realize, because a lot of times we're looking for the escape, we're looking for the reason not to do the thing, and you never offer me excuses, and I'm just blown away.
Well, I do complain.
Compaining's fine, but what it does is
how my stomach
it makes me live to a higher standard and hold myself more accountable, because I'm like, you set a standard, set a bar, and I don't want to fall short. I want to blow past it, right?
Which you are.
And I feel like we both constantly impress each other, and I'm glad we get to share the results of those impressions with everyone. So I just want to say thank you for showing up today to do this.
Well, thank you for putting it all together. This is beautiful. This is wonderful. I love it.
And we want to thank you for showing up.
Yes.
And please tune in again. We'll have several podcasts a month. I think that's going to work well.
And let us know what you want to hear about.
Yeah, if there's topics that you're interested in hearing us discuss, or if you have questions that you've been wanting to have answered that are more general in nature, not tarot-related questions. Well, tarot-related questions in general, but not like personal reading style questions. You know what I mean?
But I mean, asking questions about life, how we do things behind the scenes, what kind of energy we put into something, and any other questions on how to navigate life. Like, we're pretty equipped and we know.
Yes.
And those of you that are here today, I'm sure that you know a little bit, like you have this, what do you call that?
We have collective wisdom that we're all tapping into. So we get lots of suggestions and ideas from reading comments, from reading the messages people send us.
Yeah.
Because we read pretty much everything.
Pretty much everything.
And
You are part of our morning routine.
yeah, we don't have time to respond to everything,
Because
unfortunately.
we're reading through it and then we have to get to work, and we
Yeah.
try our best to respond as much as we can. But
But hopefully
working.
this can be a medium to address some of the things that you
Yeah.
ask us in all those comments and questions and emails. And so, don't hesitate even in the
comment
comments
section.
of this video to let us know what you'd like to see us discussing in future podcasts. If there's guests that you think we should reach out to,
Yeah.
we've got a few guests already lined up, but we would love to get your suggestions of guests that you think would be suited for both the topics and our personalities.
that's right.
And we just want to bring you more cool things and good value for your time because we appreciate you showing up so much.
So thank you so much for being here with us today and joining us for this first podcast on sacred knowledge living.
We will see you on the next one. You have a wonderful day. You're beautiful and amazing. Bye for now.
Bye.